Serious, what are some scary, horrifying, creepy things that have happened to you, or in general, that could have a plausible explanation, but still freak you out? This is more than likely just a dream, but in all my life, never has a dream felt so vivid and real, and I have zero explanation, but it was the only time I've ever felt so unnerved from a dream, and like a presence was there, that I couldn't explain. I woke up staring at the ceiling and my so sleeping beside me, when suddenly a small voice, a whisper from a girl, not my so, the voice came from the other side of the bed. It said to me very clearly, "It lives in the attic." Before I can even finish saying WTF, suddenly several large bangs come from the ceiling above me, and the ceiling starts breaking as what seems like something is smashing through the joists and drywall, and causing the ceiling to cave in. I now wake up for real and the ceiling is fine. So wakes up asking if I'm alright as I basically jumped out of bed trying to catch my breath. That never happened again, although a few months later my friend's kid was over on a play date one day and wouldn't stop talking about the man in the kitchen. There was no one there. It weirded me out. This might turn kinda long. It's currently happening a couple times a week. I'll have dreams about demons messing with me. I'm usually a lucid dreamer, like I can control what goes on and can think rationally. But a couple times a week I'll have a dream where something bad happens to me that I have no control over, even though I have control over everything else. I feel this super heavy feeling when it happens, and I try to scream and wake myself up but I can't. I'll see these dark figures, no real definitive characteristics like a face or anything. At first they are off in the distance, then as I try to get rid of them, they get closer and closer until eventually there's like a red tint to my whole dream, like a filter almost. What usually ends up happening is I'll try and fly or run away, but they hold me back and just start doing this god awful scream, deep guttural yell right in my face. Imagine this sound, but through a megaphone. I usually wake up at this point, but sometimes I'll be in sleep paralysis and I can't move or talk for like 20 to 30 minutes. I don't hallucinate during sleep paralysis yet, so I hope it stays that way. But it's fucking terrifying. I worked cleaning an indoor city pool in my younger days. I worked nights and I would be the only person in the building. One night while cleaning the change rooms at about 1 AM I hear a child's laughter followed by the sound of wet feet running across the pool deck. I raced out to check the pool area, but couldn't find anyone. The pool area had clear views to everywhere for safety reasons, so it was obviously empty. Nothing in the water. The deck was dry. The only wet footprints were my own. I checked all the doors in the building, and everything was locked up tight. Spent the rest of the night looking over my shoulder. It didn't help that when the air system kicked on or off it made a slamming sound similar to a door closing. My family and I were staying in a hotel in Berlin. During the night, I thought I heard a loud banging noise, like someone was hitting the side of the TV in the living room. This woke me up a couple of times in the night, but I was too scared to get up each time it happened. It sounded like it was coming from right outside my room. Anyway, we had to leave the hotel the next morning. I thought I could be imagining the noises until my mother asked me if I heard the banging. She eerily described it as someone banging the sides of the television, which is the idea I had in my head before she said so. My brother and father didn't hear the noise, however. What worried me is that since that night, my mother has believed in ghosts. It's also unsettling to think the hotel was located very close to the Holocaust's Memorial Museum. Anyway, I didn't want to think about it too much. As we were leaving the hotel room, I had an indescribable terrifying feeling run up my spine. It was like a panicky eerie sixth sense. It was like someone/something was right behind me, watching me in the dark. It was about 5 AM when we had to leave. I had a desperate feeling to get out of there. I'm not sure if I've been more scared in a single moment in my life. One time, it was about 5 AM, pre-dawn but just barely light out. I had fallen asleep on the couch in the den the previous night and woken up early because of the unfamiliar location. My cat was in the room, little black kitten named Minna. So, picture the room rectangular, couch against the back wall, sliding glass door on one side of the opposite wall, doorway into the kitchen on the other side of that wall. The kitchen floor is about 6 inches higher than the floor of the den, so there's a little step up. I'm lying on the couch such that From my angle, I can see the kitchen doorway fine, but can't really see into the kitchen at all. My cat gets up and starts casually walking towards the kitchen. No particular speed or urgency, probably just to get a drink of water or something. So she comes up to the little step and peeks her head over it. And she stops totally dead in her tracks. She does that thing cats do when they get scared where her tail gets real puffy and she sort of pulls her head back towards the ground and then backs away and then turns around and runs away to hide. I'd literally never seen her act that way to anything before. We did have a dog at that point, but the dog was upstairs sleeping in my parents' room and I definitely would have heard her walking around on the tile floor if she were there. We also had one other cat, but I had never seen them act aggressive towards each other. At this point, my mind has jumped straight to, oh my god, there is an intruder in the house and my cat is scared of them. After a couple seconds of terror, I finally get up, grab a fire poker from the nearby fireplace, because I'm a paranoid dumbass, and peer through the doorway into the kitchen to see who's gonna murder me today. Nothing. No other cat, no dog, no random insect, no ghost, and no axe murderer. Fucking cats, man. I had a friend who was sleeping over in a house me and my mom had just moved into. She was on the floor, and I was in my bed. At some point during the night, though, I realize she has climbed onto my bed, but not to sleep. She's just gripping my blanket and sitting there while staring wide-eyed at the ceiling. So, I start to ask what's up, but I stop because I notice what she's staring at. The ceiling fan. It's jerking wildly and violently from side to side, not spinning, just jerking like somebody had grabbed a hold of the damn thing and was trying to tear it out of the ceiling. Of course, there's nobody there, and we are just watching this thing convulse on the ceiling until, suddenly, it stops. We stayed up all night trying to figure out how that could have happened. We were too scared to go back to sleep anyway. We knew it wasn't a matter of the ceiling fan being on and just spinning too fast. The switch was off, no light, no fan, and the chain was broken, that the fan couldn't be on while the light was off anyway. Not an electrical issue or anything messing with wires because, well, we told my mom and her first response was to have it looked at. Never acted up again. But, being 11 years old, that was terrifying. Okay, I'm a pretty rational individual. But about 10 years ago I started thinking a lot about a friend who had killed himself our senior year of high school. I decided to email a psychic medium, just for the hell of it. All I said in the email was his name, how he died, and asked if he had a message for me. Within a few seconds of hitting send, my laptop started making loud static sounds, and it wasn't just static. I could hear fluctuations in the static like someone talking, but the radio isn't fully tuned to that channel. My hair was standing on end, and I went to mute my speakers, and found that the volume was already turned all the way down. I started to panic a little and thought to myself, OMG, name, you are scaring me. Stop, stop, and the static faded out. My laptop had never made a sound like that before, and never did it again after. I've never really believed in anything supernatural, but there have been a few things that I can't figure out, and they all have to do with my sister who is a year older than me. Almost monthly something strange would happen to her over the 12 years we lived in our childhood house. Some of these include, one day she woke me up on a Sunday morning pissed that I was trying to scare her. I had no idea what she was talking about, and she dragged me to the front door of her room, where both my parents were there confused and angry. On the doorknob was her name poorly engraved into the metal. It went around in a circle and clearly spelled her name, although the handwriting was terrible. No one else in the family had done it, and I knew it wasn't me, so that freaked us out. We were probably 16 to 17 at the time. Once after she got out of the shower she screamed. We share a bathroom that is connected to our bedrooms, so I ran in and there was a grown man's handprint on the fogged up mirror. The mirror had no marks on it except for this one handprint in the middle. It was way too big to be either of our hands, since we were probably 12 at the time. The only explanation we could think of was possibly our cleaning lady could have made the mark when cleaning the window, but she hadn't cleaned in a few days, so we should have seen this mark before. Last one I'll say is one that happened to me. Since we shared a bathroom I could hear when she was in there. Every night she would come home and go through her normal routine of taking off her makeup, washing her face, and going through all of the cabinets/drawers to get whatever lotions and products she needed. She was 15 at the time, and I was 14, so neither of us could drive. My parents had taken her to a friend's house to work on a project, and I was told that she would text me when she was ready to be picked up and brought back home. I was in my room doing HW when I saw the bathroom light turn on. The cabinets and drawers started opening and closing and the sink was turning on and off, so I figured she had just texted my parents and they had gotten her. Eventually the lights turned off and so did the sink, and I figured she was in her room. Then I get a text from my sister saying that she was ready to be picked up. That's strange. So I went through the bathroom and into her room and she wasn't there. I ran downstairs to my parents to ask if she'd been picked up, and they said no. That's one that I can't explain because I saw the light and I heard the sink turn on and off repeatedly as well as the cabinets opening and closing.